Professor Homa here, back to part 2 of WDO3 Italian menu. So far we formatted the top of this document. We just did the heading up at the top. We did soups, salads, and entrees. We did one time, we formatted salads and formatted as a style called RH heading, and then applied it to soups, entrees, and I think that's the only other heading. Down here we're just going to format this one time. So those are our one style we did. We're going to make 4 styles altogether. Okay, so the second style we're going to do, we're going to be at number 9, and this one is a little review of last time. It involves, setting a tab, which, shouldn't be that bad. So I'm going to highlight number 9. I'm going to highlight this whole house salad line, and that's a paragraph. And another thing, if I go to my home tab, I should turn on my invisibles or my show hide button to see my formatting marks. These are your formatting marks, your returns, your spaces, your tabs. You can see there's a tab in here and there's a return, so that means it's a paragraph. That's why I can do a paragraph style. Even though it's one line, this is a paragraph. So I'm going to format this paragraph with the settings on number 9 and the instructions. First, going to make it green, and I'm using the second dark green here. So I made it green. Then I'm going to set a right tab, and we remember how to do that. You could do it over here on the ruler, or we could go here into our paragraph settings and go down to tabs, and that way it's a little easier just to type in the number. We don't have to move anything around. So I'll put in, I think 6.5 is the tab for number 9. And don't forget, it's a right tab and it has a leader. So these two things are important here. It's a right tab, and then you could hit set. Once you hit set, you'll see it show up in your list, and that's important because when we do the soups one, we'll have 2 tabs that'll be down here in your list. So I'll hit OK, and it should put your tabs in there. There it is at 6.5. It's right where our margin ends up, so it goes right almost to the end of the page, which is okay. And also, what we're going to do with that, there is a space before setting, so I'm also going to do that through here. Here's my spacing, space before. It's only 6 points, so it's not a lot. And then I'm done with that. And that's the only time I have to do this. Number 9 is doing that formatting, and I'm going to save this as a style. So now what I'm going to do for number 10 is just create a new style. And you should know how to do this by now. You hit the new style button, make sure you're in the paragraph, click the new style button, give it a name. I'm going to call this RH item. And again, you could use your initials because this is the item throughout the menu. These are all the items with prices. And I'm going to hit OK. And I can see it up here. There's RH item. And if I scroll up, I'll also see RH heading for my soup, salads, and entrees. So that's my second style. Now to apply that, you can apply it at any time once it's saved. If you'd want to just try it out, you could go down here to Caesar salad and put it in RH, and you can see now you could apply that to everything if you wanted to, all the items if you wanted to. But before I do that, I'm going to do one more part. I'm going to do this, these descriptions here. So this little area under here, and I'll just double check okay, these are green, they're indented 1/4 inch, and they're going to have an indent on the right side. They're italic, they're a little bit smaller, and they have some space, I think, above and below. So we'll go back here, and I'll follow the sheet. So I'll highlight this paragraph, and what it says for number 11 is make it 11 points. So it's a little smaller. It's italic, which I just hit the little I button here. I'm going to make it green, which again, this is all just character formatting so far. And now when I get into the paragraph formatting, that's the part where I could give it a space before, I could give it indents, I could give it space before. No matter what order you do this, you could go into here to your paragraph settings, and I'm going to give it a space before and a space after of 3. So if you click up and up, it goes to 6. So you just have to highlight in here and put in 3, and go to after and put in 3. That'll just create the separation between the items. And while I'm here, there's no tabs here, but they're indents. So I'm going to do a left indent of 0.25, and you could go up to 2 and put in the 5. And that's going to move it over about 1/4 inch. And from the right side, so that my items aren't right underneath the prices, I'm going to put a right indent up at 0.5. And I'll hit OK. And there I did 2 paragraph settings, spacing and indents. And it indents 1/4 inch, it indents 1/2 inch, and it may not always be exactly at 1/2 inch because it may, if the next word doesn't fit in there, it'll bump the word down to the next line, and that's what it did. So that's my setting for descriptions. So I'm going to call this a style right away. While it's still highlighted, I'll go down here to my new style button, and I'll just call it RH Descriptions. RH. And I'll hit OK. And now I pretty much have all my styles done for my document, other than the little bottom part and this soups and salads here. And I'll save that at the end for maybe a third part to do that. But for now, if I'd want to go and put these all in my styles, this is the fun part. I could put this in descriptions. Grilled chicken salad goes into item. And if you screw it up, if you go here and you say, oh, that's a heading, and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right, just put it in another style. That's the nice thing about style. Undoing stuff is very easy. I could go here and say, oh, well, that's a description. Now it's in my description. So now here's 3 in a row. I could do these all, I could highlight 3 of these paragraphs and put them into item. And there's items. This is a description. You know, you could do all one style at a time, or you could just go, you know, and alternate and just put them as you see as you work your way down the page. So this is an item, and I'll even stop here and finish this up, and then we'll get back and do this. Okay, I finished up all my formatting for most of it, most of the repeating elements. Again, here's my headings, here's my items, and here's my descriptions, and that works all the way down, except I didn't do this part with the cup and bowl and the soups. And here's what I'm going to do. This is a little trickier, so you have to pay attention to this part of it. And what you're going to do is highlight the 2 soup lines, not the cup and bowl, but highlight these 2 lines, and you're going to put it in your items. And when you do that, it may look, it may look a little odd. You can see here that it's almost going off the page. That's okay. I'm going to fix that, and I'll show you how you fix it. So it's going to be in items. It's like the items, except it's a little bit different. It's going to actually have an extra tab. So the tab should be on the inside, kind of like our sample. If I look at my PDF, you can see that there's one tab is going to be at 6.5, but there's going to be another one that's going to be in further. And I think that's at like 5.75. And also, notice that the leader is going to go to the first tab, but the leader is not going to go to the second tab. So I'm going to go and fix that, and it's really not that hard. But I did put it in my RH item style. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a change first, then I'm going to create a new style. So what I'm going to do to make a change, I'm not going to modify this style because I'm actually going to make a local change to my text and then make a new style based on what I do. But I'm starting it off on items. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go in to my tabs. I'm going to go into, you know, I could go into this way, go into tabs. And here I see my 6.5 tab. I already have that. I don't want to mess with that. I'm going to type a new one. And I could just type a new one right at the top. It's not going to replace that. This is the one at 6.5. This is where I put my new one. So I'm going to put a new one at 5.75. And that also is going to be a right tab. And that also is going to have a leader. And then I'm going to hit set. And now you can see there's 2 tabs in this list. And if you need to edit one of these tabs, you could just click on them. Here's my one tab at 5.75. It's right tab with a leader. Okay. Now the second tab at 6.5, it's a right tab with a leader. Now remember, by looking at my sample, I said we don't need a leader here. No leader on that one. So what I could do, you could do it now or do it after the fact. If you select 6.5, you just have to turn off the leader by hitting none. Now this one does not have a leader. This one does. And if you hit OK, it should kind of fix everything. It should. You want to double check, and it didn't. So let me just go back again and go into tabs and make sure that that's 6.5, and I'll hit none. And actually, if you remember, since I have multiple tabs, what didn't I do? I didn't hit set. So if you have multiple tabs, whenever you make a change, make sure you hit set, because I didn't do that, and that's why it didn't update that part of it. So I'll hit set, I'll hit OK, and now you can see it got rid of the leader that's in there. So whenever I want to go in here, I could highlight these paragraphs, go in here, check out my tabs. There's my tabs that are listed. 2 of them. One has a right and a leader. One's right aligned with a leader. The other's right aligned, no leader. Okay, now what I'm going to do is make a style based on what I just did. I'll make a new style in case anything ever gets screwed up, even though I'm only doing this one time. So what I can do is hit the new style button. And this is a little different. It's going to be based on. You see where it says based on here? It'll be based on RH item. And that's important because it'll inherit everything about RH item. So if I ever make a change to RH item, this one becomes like a child of that and will update as well. So it creates like a parent-child style. So if I change RH item to a different color, it would actually update this one too, which is kind of a nice thing. But it would keep the things that are different, such as the 2 tabs are a little bit different. So I'm just going to call this RH item, and I'll call it 2 tabs, just so I know it's the one with 2 tabs. And that's all I have to do. Okay, and I'm not even going to apply this anywhere else, but it's nice to at least have it in my palette in case, you know, they put drinks on here or something else that had like 2 tabs with it. So I'll hit OK, and you can see that's in 2 tabs. And when I look at your document, I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to see, is that in a particular style? And there, that's an RH heading. This one should be an item. This one should be in 2 tabs, and this will be the trickiest one. Okay, so you can see there, this should be lined up exactly, so that's why you're using the tab that's already there. Okay, this part here, this part isn't too tricky, but I'm just going to do this manually. You can see there's 2 tabs here already. You're just going to align these. And I'm just going to highlight this paragraph, and this is number 17, and we're just doing this manually. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to go over to my little tab selector, and I'm going to change it to center tab, which looks like the upside down T. There's a center tab, and I'm going to click a center tab. I'm going to kind of line it up and put one right here, and then I'll move over and I'll put one right here, and you can see I can move it, and I can kind of center it right on the type. If I don't like where, you know, I wouldn't want it there, I'd want to grab it, move it over, and I'm just kind of centering it right over top of those prices. I'm just doing it by eye. And then if I wanted to make them, you know, italic, I could make them green. I could even put a little underline under them. Well, I don't, that's underlining the whole thing. You know, that's all I really need for that. If I wanted to put them in red, I could do that too. But that's all you have to do for that, and I'm not even making a style for that. I just highlighted that, highlighted this line, and just put 2 center tabs right here. And if you wanted to see what it looks like, you could go into your tabs, and here, there's a center tab at, you know, I did it by eye, but they're actually at 5.56 and 6.31 are actually where those tabs are set up, and you can see they're center tabs. And I don't need a style for that unless you want to make a style. So that's the only thing. That we're pretty much done here. Last thing at the bottom is number 18, and this doesn't involve style, so I'm just going to highlight this, center it. I'm going to make hours red. And you can make that, you know, you can make it bold. I don't know if it says that on the sheet. Okay, but I'm going to make that red, and I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to make these lines green. And I'll use that same green. And then I think that's about it. Oh, it says make that 10 points. So make this a little bit smaller. Make these bottom lines a little bit smaller at the bottom, and I think that should be it. I'm going to zoom out and just look at my document a little bit more. If I make sure everything's done. And that's what it should look like when you're done. These should be lined up together. And all these, whenever you click in anything, you should see there's an item style. Click in here, there's a description style. I click in here, there's a heading style. Up here, I have my 2 tabs. I didn't make that a style, I didn't make the top a style, and I didn't make any styles in the bottom here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So I'm going to stop here.